Picard, Season 3, Episode 9. There will be spoilers, so if you've not seen it, go ahead and click stop now. Check it out, come back if you care. If you don't care, let's get into it.
Engage.
Is this episode about Hollywood's indoctrination of our children? I see a lot of similarities between assimilation and indoctrination. Let's discuss. In this episode called VOX, Picard's son Jack is discovered to have had Borg DNA given him genetically by his father Jean-Luc. And you might remember his father Jean-Luc spent some time with the Borg. This Borg DNA was dormant for the longest time, waiting for the right time to bring itself to the surface. Slowly just there, over and over, calling to Jack. So Picard was assimilated in the old TV series The Next Generation. I believe that assimilation in this episode is an allegory to Hollywood's indoctrination of our children. This Hollywood indoctrination is basically centered around the youth of Starfleet. We'll discuss it point by point.
So that's what they've been doing. Using the changelings to infiltrate starships and add this new Borg DNA into everyone who steps inside a transporter.
So first, the Borg worked their way into Starfleet by changelings. These are people that are casually accepted as actual Starfleet folks because they look and act just like Starfleet folks. But what they did was they got into Starfleet. They put themselves in positions where they can alter the DNA code through the transporters to slowly implant this Borg DNA in everyone who used the transporters.
Every person, every species.
When they would beam in and beam out, they would slowly get hit with this Borg DNA. And when they reappeared on the other side, their DNA has changed. They've got something in there, and that something in there will lie dormant until there's enough of them, people-wise, to go ahead and just be open about the plan that the Borg are going to accomplish. So Starfleet is already slowly, gradually being pushed to positions that happen to be more Borg-like. And this is the normies in our allegory. So in the older series, it was always kind of stated that the captain's individuality were a main part of their leadership skills in Starfleet. The starship captains were good judgment, people of good character that could be trusted because they had this very powerful thing that they were using, the starship. Or in this allegory, it's going to be companies like the media, Hollywood, etc. This is my theory. This is just my theory. So the exact term for it in this episode is called fleet formation. So it's the linking of all the ships.
Synchronistic technology that allows every ship in Starfleet to operate as one.
Together through a data network where if everything goes wrong or something really terrible happens, fleet formation could control all the ships as one, kind of hive mind, and, save Starfleet, which would make this scare tactic of something super bad is happening. So we give up autonomy, we give up control, we give up, our individuality for more safety. Admiral Elizabeth Shelby states in this episode that unity in defense is their ultimate safeguard. So it's the big boogeyman, out there. Something so bad is going to happen that, trust us, this one central hive mind will control everything and keep everybody safe.
In case of the unthinkable fleet-wide incapacitation, this system will protect our crews in our continued exploration of what still remains.
And this collective way of thinking is really more Borg-like. Commie-like? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. But this way of thinking is basically not really something that we've seen in Starfleet because it really is very Borg-like, which Picard even says.
The irony of her endorsing something so Borg-like.
Happy Frontier Day, everyone.
So once enough people are indoctrinated by this Borg collective DNA, it's time to spring the trap on society as a whole. or in this case, the Starfleet fleet. This is something Hollywood's been doing to all of us, but who it's really impacted is the youth in this country and in westernized, Europe, things like that. But Hollywood has been slowly putting in these things that have slowly built up over time. And last year's norm had to have another bar set and another bar set. And the next thing you know, we're in the modern era. Remember, assimilation is my thoughts that it's an allegory for indoctrination. To use the critical drinker's term,
The message.
or in this case, I'm going to refer to it as the Borg DNA, but what it really is that message that's been slowly playing to everyone. People who aren't really affected by it have kind of ignored it, placated it, but what it has done is the youth in Western societies has become really hive-minded and really indoctrinated by the things that they've normalized in movies and TV.
Are we assimilated?
No offense, but judging by all the gray hair, I think the process must have skipped a generation.
Oh, shit.
So who does this social infection really alter and change? Who is the most different that we've seen in generations? The youth, those like 25 and under, let's say, just like in the show.
Which for human beings is age 25, which is when the frontal cortex stops development.
Which in our case is Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation who's given up on facts being facts, truth being truth, and just have batshit crazy ideas that seem to be more cult-like and hive-minded and collective than any other generation that I know of in American history.
So this might not affect us.
But it will affect the youngest members of the crew.
Does that sound like what I'm saying?
They've been assimilating the entire fleet this whole time
Right? It does.
without anyone even knowing.
So Geordi, a loving father, can't even get through to his own children because of,
The message.
or in this case, the assimilation or indoctrination, because they're receiving that message from their new social construct, the hive mind, the Borg, the Queen, whatever.
A Borg signal.
Look at these youth. They look somewhat dangerous. That right there is an allegory to being canceled. So the youth of Starfleet are taking over these ships. And what are they doing? They're eliminating anyone that's unassimilated. But in our terms, we'd call that being canceled. They're coming for you. They will cancel you. They will ruin you. They will take your job. They will make it so you can't provide for your family. You are done. You need to go. You have been othered, or at least beaten up like that swimmer chick that was, speaking at the school lately. So when they're like,
Collective. We have to type.
I relate this back to collective. We have the HR department and we have a couple of executives at this corporation, at this company. And when that happens, they have the company. They're too hard to root out. They're in there like a tick. And you don't have tweezers, a match, or Vaseline to get them off. Because once these people have infected a company, it's a slow burn or very, very difficult to paper the HR way to get them the hell out of there. It's at least going to cost you a check with a severance package and some sort of hold harmless. And if the company does find a way to get rid of one of these people and it hasn't been done cleanly, properly, and I mean buttoned up, guess what happens? They get USS Excelsior.
We've been targeted. Tell my family.
The Excelsior steps out of line. The Excelsior gets eliminated. Boom. These people will try to destroy your company. No matter how big it is, they want boycotts. They want everything. Not just like, I'm not going to buy that. It's everything that they do. You're now ruined. But if normal folk get together, in this case, I believe the term is the gray hairs, or
I've never been so happy to see so many wrinkles.
We can come back to this and we can win with all our wrinkles. And some of you young people, you may not have wrinkles yet, but just come on over and join us. Maybe you didn't go through the transporter. Maybe you were on the shuttlecraft like a smart person. Because that's our only hope, is coming together and finding. The show uses an analog way, old people, but the show uses an analog way. And in their case, the analog way of thinking and the analog way is the Enterprise D. And that Enterprise D in our world is facts, logic, and sticking together and not letting a very vocal minority destroy us. Anyway, that's what I pulled out of this episode. I don't know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, but I'm sure that this was unintentional and I'm just reading into it. But I found it really quite fascinating that it only affects the youth. They'll cancel you. They want you out. And it slowly happened, but it only affected the youth. It's only affected the youth. Anyway, let me know in the comments exactly what you think. Also, like and share this video. It would really help me. I'm brand new. And remember, subscribe to the D, baby.
Engage.